The leaders of Germany, France and Poland are meeting in Berlin in an attempt to show unity for Ukraine. It's being seen as an effort to address diverging French and German policies when it comes to the defence of Ukraine. Well, for more on all of that, let's go straight to Berlin and join my colleague Jessica Parker. So just tell us what we're expecting in these meetings.
Well, I mean, of course, the meetings themselves are happening behind closed doors amongst these leaders. So we're always slightly left to guess what they'll be talking about. But it's pretty clear that in this unscheduled emergency meeting, they're going to be discussing the situation in Ukraine. And the relationship, as you mentioned, between the French President Emmanuel Macron and the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, there's been a lot of scrutiny recently over mixed messages coming from the two countries in terms of support for Ukraine. So Emmanuel Macron has been sounding increasingly hawkish. Of course, not long ago, he made those remarks that many saw, or many eyebrows were raised about them, when he said that he wouldn't rule out the idea of one day sending troops to Ukraine, something that Chancellor Olaf Scholz was very quick to rule out and said that absolutely wouldn't happen, and that Germany was not a war party. And then subsequent to that, there have been various potshots between the two countries about who's doing what to help Ukraine. So I think a lot of people seeing this as an opportunity to try and smooth things over a little bit, see if they can get on the same page and at least coordinate their messaging in a better way, because this is, of course, a really crucial moment for Europe. There are genuine fears that if Donald Trump becomes the president of the United States again in elections later this year, that could undermine, given what Mr. Trump has said, the NATO military alliance, and then countries like France and Germany would really have to step up in terms of European autonomy.
And Jessica, all of this, of course, comes against the backdrop of more calls from Kyiv for funding for Ukraine's military and, of course, hardware as well. What exactly will the conversations be on that today? What are the kind of thinking from the different countries when it comes to sending more additional aid?
So ammunition, of course, I think is always high on the agenda, and efforts to send more ammunition to Ukraine, although EU countries have conceded that they haven't really been meeting their targets in that regard. I was recently at a factory, well, something that will be a factory one day that will produce ammunition in the coming years, some of which it's planned would go to Ukraine, but that's certainly this ongoing pressure point. And then particular to the debate in Germany are these Taurus cruise missiles. Chancellor Olaf Scholz has been under tremendous pressure to allow Taurus cruise missiles to be sent to Ukraine, but he is saying, no, not doing that, pretty much ruling it out for the moment, which has caused some irritation amongst allies, including France, including the United Kingdom. But then Germany get a bit irritated themselves because they say, well, actually, we're only second to the US in the amount of arms that have been pledged to Ukraine. But there's obviously a very live debate, not just about what can be sent to Ukraine, but what can actually be manufactured here in Europe going forward. And one defence boss in Germany I spoke to recently, he said that he thought it was about 10 years before Europe would be in a position in terms of its industrial base to be able to defend itself.
OK, Jessica Parker with the latest from that meeting in Berlin. Thank you very much.